Hello. Can you hear me? I guess I can check myself. Okay, I can hear. Cool. Gonna give it a few more minutes. Okay, great. I cannot play music on, well, there's a way to do it, but it's like a roundabout way. There is no easy way to play the audio that I can hear. So there's just not going to be music for the stream. Hopefully that's okay. It's been a while. I had to redo the entire stream on a MacBook. So I had to recreate all the scenes. Did that yesterday. Make sure everything worked. So far so good. How's it going? Very curious what's gonna... if anything's gonna go wrong. I'm on TV noise. I have no idea what that means. Okay. We can probably get started. I don't know if this chat box is going to work. It might be too big. I can't really see it. Oh yeah, that does not look good. Severe frame drop. Okay. Well, that's not good. Okay. I don't like this chat box, so I'm going to change that. I don't know where it reports frame drops in stream. I'm curious if it's upload. I could just decrease the upload speed. I'm not sure. It was fine yesterday. Okay, I gotta fix the chat box. Let's fix that first. Looks terrible. Actually, let me fix this really quick. Oh, okay. Interesting. Could be my computer. See if changing this to a different version makes it look better. Okay, I'm going to type some stuff in the chat. See how it looks. Looks really weird on my screen, so... It looks stretched for you guys, right? Well, I'm going to try to decrease the bitrate and see if that helps the lag. I might have to restart the stream, though. Well, we'll just let it keep going. It worked fine yesterday, so but it was later in the day. How do I reset? Okay. All right, that's what it was. And I think I just need to make this higher here. Yep, okay. That should solve that problem. Obviously the chat is disappearing because I'm fixing it. 50, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I tried to schedule the stream so that there was not as many people here, but obviously I can't control that. I have no idea if I can do anything about it without dropping the buffer. I'm going to open it up on my screen and see, and then we can get started. If it keeps messing up, then I'll change the bitrate. I'll drop it down. Obviously, this is kind of a test stream anyways, so see what happens. I'm wondering if I could drop it down a little bit and fix it. Okay, well, I guess just I'm gonna try to stream, and then if it keeps messing up, yeah, it's buffering on my end too. Okay, I am gonna try to drop down the bitrate, but I think it's going to, I think I can stop the stream without you guys getting disconnected. I don't think there's a way I can change the bitrate without ending the stream. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna hit in stream, change the bitrate, and then okay, I am back. All right. Hopefully the buffering is better now. I dropped it by about 25%, so should be okay. Let's get started. All right. Feels weird to be doing this again, especially considering I'm on a completely different operating system. Definitely some kinks to work out, but how's it going, Serge? Okay. Let's get started. Obviously, like I said, if you weren't here, I can't play music. Mac does not let you record what you can hear unless you do some roundabout ways that I just didn't put the time into doing. Okay. All right, so the first thing I was going to ask is I've already gone through and started an edit on a photo, and I'm very curious what you guys think is the best version. I've already asked this in my Discord chat, and if you're interested in joining the Discord, there's a link down below. How's it going, Neil? So this is a 7-shot HDR pano, but I only used, I tried doing the pano using just the single exposures and making the pano, but I couldn't get the two panos of the dark and the bright to blend correctly. So I actually just did one HDR pano and then made a virtual copy to make like a pseudo dark and a pseudo bright. And this is the result. And the two edits that I'm at right now is this one and this one. The biggest difference obviously being this foreground element. And I can't decide which composition I like better. And there's a part of me that's wondering if maybe I should just try a third composition where I take some of this and then put it over here in this image on the left-hand side. But I haven't decided. So if you have an opinion in the chat, whether it's better with the rocks in the foreground or no rocks in the foreground, I would love to hear it. But I think what we're going to start the edit with is this image that looks like I've already edited it, but this is actually just a HDR blend completely edited in Lightroom. This is the edit after merging them together. And I kind of want to go in and do some blending in Photoshop. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I think we're only going to need, let's see. I basically want to see how close I can get to something like this with a little bit more control of the clouds and stuff. There's also a few elements I need to remove, like this walking person and this car over here. This one ends up being better. So also, again, report if there's any streaming issues, so I know how much is dropping out at this bitrate or not. Or if you can't hear me and I need to turn myself up, because I'm not monitoring myself at the moment. Okay, let's do this. Let's start with the brighter one because I can actually see more in this one. I don't think we're going to need this exposure. It's probably a little too bright. But I'm going to bring up this, switch this to landscape, come down here, bring up the blue saturation. I'm going to do both on this one because I really want those colors to pop. Come down in here, bring this down a little bit. Rocks in the foreground. Okay. Am I that far behind, or is the stream really far behind? Let me make sure really quick. No? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Cool. All right, back to this. Bring this up. Let's see what the auto... Nope, I don't like that. I kind of like the red tint. Actually, speaking of which, let's go down here and add a little bit more red tint to it. This is going to obviously make things look a little bit more red, but I'm going to do it very slightly. So I'm paying attention to these shadow areas, making sure I can get detail out of these shadow areas when I blended it with this darker layer. Looking pretty good. Going to bring up the whites a bit. The highlights. You can tell that we can almost just use one image that I really like. This is already pretty close, and this is just using the one exposure. Yeah, I'll go back to the image at the end if anyone wants to comment on it some more. My biggest thing is the rocks kind of suffocate that foreground waterfall, and that just doesn't give it enough room, and that's the only reason I'm kind of like gearing away from it. So all right, let's bring up some shadows in this. Now, this isn't going to be the actual image. I just want to be able to use those shadows to blend if I can. So I think that's looking pretty good for our blend. I want to make sure this is bright, but not too bright. Make it a little bit easier here. And so I'm going to bring this up. This down just a little. I'm really liking the sunburst here. I'm going to bring my shadows up as much as possible so that it blends a little bit easier with the other one. Adobe Landscape. Bring up the blue saturation. Man, just look at those colors. Woo. This was a pretty sweet night. I need to bring down the sharpening on both of these so I can add it back later. Should have done that first. I also could have copied my settings over, but I wasn't really paying attention. Combat that blue saturation slider by bringing down some of the blue. And I'm going to make this a little bit more blue. but not by much. Just like a tad cooler. I wish I knew. Hey, Elvin, how's it going, man? For some reason, the chat box isn't changing the names of people or colors, so sorry about that, but long time no see, Elvin. And if I could explain the blue saturation slider, I would, but I'll be completely honest. I don't know. I think someone has commented on the video I made about it, maybe explaining it, and I was just like, I don't even remember what they said. It was complicated enough where I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep using it because of what it does. I think this is 2 good baselines for this blend. Yeah. I probably don't need to take these into Photoshop and blend them, but I'm going to anyways. So let's do it. Might as well. How's everyone doing? I'm just hoping this MacBook can keep up. I have a external camera plugged in, an external DAC plugged in, an external monitor plugged in, and obviously streaming without hardware encoding because there is no native hardware encoding on OBS at the moment. So, all right. Our layers, I don't think we need to. It's on a tripod. I don't think we need to auto align them. Should be fine. All right. So I think we're going to use our dark layer as, I like adding light into a dark layer, painting light into a dark layer rather than the other way around. So that's how we're going to do it. Going to add a layer mask. And what do we want to brighten first? I think we want to brighten some of these lighter areas here. So I'm going to use, well, we're going to try a mask on this one and see if there's enough data there to do it. I think there is. So we're going to use mask 1 for lights. Select it, switch to my brush. That's too big. I'm using a mouse at the moment. I don't think I need to switch to the Wacom, but I will if I need to. I'm going to drop it down to about 30%. I'm just going to brush in black, so it's on white. I'm going to brush in white. Just brighten up those spots really quick. Now the biggest thing I need to be careful of is hitting the sky too much, which I definitely did. So we need to move to a smaller brush and make sure I'm not hitting that stuff. Good way to do that is to not be lazy and just zoom in a little bit. Okay. It's going to be subtle at first, but we are definitely adding in light here. I also want to be careful around this because I don't necessarily want to add more sunburst here. So I'm going to add in some light. I'm not worried about this person right now. I can fix that later at the end of the edit. I'm going to really zoom in here. Just start painting in some of the light on those hills back here. And I'm just being precise. I'm not going into the sky here because you can see what happens when I do that. I'll do the sky in a separate part. So I will admit it's nice listening to copyrighted music because I can't put it on stream, so it's kind of sweet. Okay, gonna move to a bigger brush for these sections right here. Some nice big sweeping things. Some motion. Man, it's been a while since I've streamed, yeah? I think the last one was April. It's weird. I accidentally hit the sky there. And undo. Okay, so really quick, I can show you. This is all what we've done so far. It doesn't look like I'm doing anything until I turn on the mask on and off. So just really brightening up that area. I'm going to bring my opacity up a tiny bit more. I'm going to keep adding a little bit of light to these spots. Just kind of painting in that contrast. And that mask is doing most of the work for us. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Let me know how you're doing, what's going on. I'm probably going to have more streams in the next 2 weeks. I think I'm going to do at least 2 more, I think. There's a lot of photos I need to edit, and I might as well get some more streams in while I have the desk space. And then I think I'm going to get back on the road sometime in December. Okay. It's weird if it is hardware related because I'm not getting any stutters in terms of like lag on my machine. Does anyone in the chat know if like, oh, okay, dropped frames detected. So it is drop frames. Okay. But this is saying the drop frames are coming from connection, not from hardware. So I will have to play around with it off stream probably. Just gonna have to deal with it for now. I tested it yesterday and it seemed fine, but I will play around with it. I think it's internet based. It seems like everything on my laptop is fine at the moment. But again, I could be wrong. Okay. I think that's a good starting point for right there. The new updates. Yeah, there's going to be stutters. I assume it's internet-based. I'm in a public area with so can't control it too much. It might just be that I have to stream later in the evening when I'm the only one here. What do I think of the new Lightroom in Photoshop? The new Lightroom is fine. I don't think it changed very much. It just kind of changed the interface of the masks. I don't think it really added too much that wasn't already there. I do like the new interface of the mask. It's pretty nice. In terms of the Photoshop thing, they added like a crazy AI thing for changing seasons of photos. Yeah. Okay. I haven't really, I don't know, I don't remember what other features are in the new Photoshop. Okay, so what else do we want to brighten here? I definitely think we want to brighten part of the sky. So I'm actually going to deselect the mask. I kind of want to affect the whole sky, so I'm going to select the biggest brush I can, and I'm going to bring a really low opacity, like 10%. And I'm going to kind of just paint up here in these darker corners. And the reason I'm doing that is it's a bit too dark for me. And I just want to brighten it up a little bit. Actually, let's go in here and select a darks mask. And maybe we can get a little bit more precise on those clouds. Let's do 2. Select that. And then I'm just going to brighten up these clouds. Oh, that's, I don't know, the mask selected. Okay. Just a little bit. Because what's going to happen is when I add some saturation back into the image, when I take it back in Lightroom, it's just going to make those clouds a little bit too dark. That's probably too much. Just really gentle here. I think that's looking pretty good. And while we're at it, since we have this selected, I'm going to brighten up this area of the image a little bit for the same exact reason. Let me make sure it's doing the right thing here. Yeah, okay. It's looking good. Going to brighten up this back part here. When should I use clarity? I mean, I probably add or subtract clarity on almost every image I publish, but it's usually pretty light. So, again, I don't want to affect these areas around here. Yeah, this one should work. Darks 4. And I'm just going to use a big brush at a low opacity. I could probably go higher than this because of the mask. And I'm just kind of painting it just a little bit of brightness right there. Now, it's going to be hard to see in one thing, but if I do this, you can see what I just did. And it's really subtle, but it's enough. I did too much on the ground here because I'm using such a big brush, so I'm just going to go back in and paint that darker by using the white brush. And that should have gotten rid of that. Yeah, looking pretty good. It's little things like that that really make a difference when you have that control. So, it's frozen. Okay. Did it come back, Stu? It's fine on my end when I just hit play. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I might just have to stream later in the evening when there's no one here. I try to do late. It's not super late, but a lot of people seem to leave around 3. Okay. Well, I'll try to do a stress test on it later when it's just me here. The only problem is obviously it'll be late for Europe. I can't really do much about it. Okay. Obviously, also you might be able to hear people in the background. But can only do so much living in my car. Okay. Where are we with this image? I think we're getting pretty close. It doesn't need a whole lot more. It could be a little brighter, I think. I definitely think it could be a little brighter, especially in the cloud area. So I think what we're going to do is deselect our mask again. And we're just going to come in here with a really big brush, really low opacity, no mask selected, and just kind of brighten up these areas. That was with white. I knew with black. There we go. Because I just want to brighten it up just a little bit. Because like I said, it's a little too dark. And that's looking a little bit better. So it's not obvious what we just did, but I just did this. That's the before and after. And I think overall it's looking pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if there's much more light painting I really need to do. What do you guys think? I mean, there was a lot of natural light already, so like the photo did most of the work for me by having all of the contrast. There's a spot right here I might try to remove. I'm looking around here to make sure this is nice and bright. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Okay. Well, I mean, if it's frames dropping from me doing stuff to the image, that's one thing. But again, I'll have to look. I don't know. I can't get it to tell me if it's frames dropping for processing or if it's frames dropping for internet. So, I don't know. Not something I can really figure out at the moment anyways. So, okay, I'm going to hit save. Yeah, it definitely said frame drops as soon as I hit save, so that is interesting. Maybe it is computer-based. I'll have to see if I can figure out a fix for it. Go into Lightroom. And this is our image. So this was the image I had edited, I believe, already. This is the image before our edits. Yeah, I appreciate it. Sorry, that wasn't intended to sound like you're not helping. Okay. Let's see. So gonna add some contrast in, even though we just painted some contrast. I want to bring down the highlights a bit, even though I know we brightened this spot, but then I'm gonna bring up the whites. That's probably too much, obviously. This isn't fully what I'm gonna do. Kind of want to, let's bring, there we go. Gonna bring up the dehaze a little bit. And we need to bring up the shadows. It's a little too dark over here, I think. So I haven't edited out this car or this person yet because I kind of want to make sure that my blend is where I want it to be. So that's why I went back into Lightroom to just make sure I like where it's at. I think so far it's okay. Maybe we can just brighten up the whole image a little bit. Make it strong contrast. And bring down the saturation a little bit. It's feeling a little too hot. Then I'm going to add a mask. Now I could have done some of these things in Photoshop if I wanted to. I'm actually going to have this mask basically just be a giant gradient. And I'm just going to bring down the exposure a little bit. I'm going to bring down the highlights. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's check where if there's any. Okay, not really clipping anywhere. I think we can bring up the dehaze a little bit more. Bring down the saturation to combat that a little bit. And so here's, you were asking about clarity. So if I added 15 here, I don't really like the way it looks on the over here. So I actually think I'm going to take away some clarity. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, I think this is close to done. Let's check it compared to the quick edit I did earlier. I like that this has a bit brighter windows here, so that might be something I want to fix in Photoshop really quick. But the one thing I really like about the edit we just did is I get way more detail here in the clouds right here, which is nice. But there's not a huge difference, like I said. Just a little bit more creativity, leeway in the edit. Switch between the masks. Okay. Well, I haven't had any drop frames. It says I haven't had any drop frames in like 3 minutes. So I'm wondering if maybe it's Photoshop. Let's switch to Photoshop and see what happens. So I'm going to switch back. I'm going to brighten up these windows a little bit. That's what I'm going to do now. So let's do that. I'm going to try to use a mask to do it. So I really only want to select the whites of the window. That's why I'm going to use a luminosity mask. Select this one. Should make it really easy since it's a black church. So, you know, kind of a big deal when it comes to masking. Make that selection. Select our mask again. Zoom in. Open up my brush with B. And obviously 7% opacity is way too little. I'm going to do 30 and see what happens. It could be even more. Let's just bump it to 100. Yeah. Brighten up that window a little bit. Oh yeah, that's much better. Let's brighten up these. Actually, I'm gonna brighten up this whole little patch that's getting hit by light here. It's kind of nice, yeah? I gotta be careful though, because I know I'm hitting that spot. So I think we're gonna have to be a little more precise than what I was doing. So just gonna do some quick stripe motions there on just the windows. And I kind of like a little bit of that reflection here as well, so let's do a little bit here. It's kind of nice. Now I got to be careful because if I go over here it's going to hit all of this and just make the blend look weird. So I got to be careful there. I can always fix it coming in here, but because you don't want that glow to start happening. Right now it's still pretty natural. I'm turning the mask on and off with a shortcut. I just noticed that I had drop frames, so maybe it is Photoshop. Entirely possible. It's also possible that it's such a large shift in data from the stream that it doesn't have the bitrate to switch it, but I'm not sure. Okay. I think it's looking pretty good. I think we should keep making sure. Right now I'm making sure that this looks natural. And I think it's a little too bright around that edge, so we're going to have to fix that. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to have to bring down our opacity on our brush. Go back to about 35%, and I'm just going to brush in right here on the edge and make sure it doesn't have that glow effect around the edge. Probably a bigger brush. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Yeah. So turning the mask on and off, you can see there was an actual natural glow there. It's not just from the blend. You can also see we brighten those windows up a decent amount. I think it looks pretty good. Brighten this one up a bit. I would love to brighten this one up, but it might be pretty difficult. Well, maybe not. Let's try. Because those sun streaks are already so bright. I don't think they need to be any brighter. So I'm just trying to hit the window a little bit there. That's a little bit better. Yeah. Nice. Again, turning the mask on and off. Is it ever fine to clip? Yeah. I know some people suggest like don't ever clip, but I think not ever clipping. Oh, someone donated and I didn't even see it. Who donated? Why didn't it put it in chat? Thank you to whoever donated. Sorry. The little mini feed thing isn't up. Hold on one second. There it is. Okay. Good to go. Now I have the mini feed thing back up. Save. Oh, Ivan. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the donation, man. Much appreciated. Okay. Clipping. So a lot of people say don't ever clip, and I think most of the time they just mean when you're recording, because some of my edits, like, this is just going to clip. Like, this is just going to be bright white, but it should be. And the same goes for things that should be just absolutely black if you want them to be black. It's realistically, like, if you're doing, like, a really contrasty black and white, clipping your black can be what you want. But I think it's with purpose rather than just doing it because you messed up, right? If you're doing it with purpose, whereas like I'm purposely leaving this as pretty bright, there's a reason for it. So I'm clipping this because it's the sun. I think it should be bright. Hey Matt, how's it going, man? Changing the black points. Don't you mean just crushing the black so that they look like they're gray rather than black? All right, so I think our blend is good. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I might come in fine tweak it, but I think it's good. I'm going to create a new layer to fix these little issues here. I'm going to press J to bring up my healing brush. And yeah, it definitely seems like I'm dropping frames in Photoshop. So maybe it is, just dropped another frame. Maybe it is a computer thing. Okay, so I'm going to remove her. Hopefully it looks good. And it's just that simple. Sometimes Photoshop is like cheating. I'm going to come over here and we're going to try to remove this other person in this car. All right. Let's see what happens when I do this. No, I didn't think that one was going to work as easy. So I'm going to have to do it in sections here. Okay, need a bigger brush. Actually, let's just make it a little harder. There we go. See what it does. All right. Well, that was easy enough. Now I just got to be, this edge right here is really important, so let's see what happens. Nope. Let's do this. Nope. 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 What is this? Okay. I really just want to get that out of there, and I think I'll be okay. Okay. All right. We are really zoomed in at the moment, but I just want to get rid of the little traces of the car that are still there. Make sure it doesn't look good. Nope. Sometimes you just got to keep doing it until it looks good. I think this looks okay, but I gotta figure out how we get rid of this little section here. Okay, that looks fine. I can clean it up a little bit with the stamp tool. Need to fix this. Hopefully this fixes it. That looks fine. Again, we're very zoomed in, so it's not like these details you're really going to be able to see all that much, especially online. But I still want to make it look okay in case I ever print it. I think that looks okay. Let's see if I can get rid of that little hot spot right there. Okay. I think that's pretty good, yeah? Before? After? This looks a little awkward, but I don't think you'd ever know that's not natural without watching the stream. The healing brush and spot healing. Aren't they the same? I think the same thing. Oh, no. Spot healing and healing brush. Okay. I think the healing brush tool looks like it copies things kind of like the stamp tool. But I've never used that. I've always used the spot healing brush, which uses content aware. So I would recommend that one. Good call on the fact that there's two. I've never used the healing brush tool. But judging by what this looks like, it looks like it's a mixture of the healing brush and a stamp tool, if I had to guess. Because it looks like I can copy stuff. That's what it looks like, at least. Yeah. Maybe it's you can tell it where to sample. Probably. Yeah, I'm noticing drop frames in here, guys. So I'll have to figure out what's going on in terms of that. So if it is stuttering for you or whatever, I apologize. Okay. I think this is good. Oh, we need to fix this one little spot right here. Gonna go to the spot healing brush tool, not the healing brush tool. Today I learned that there is a difference. And we're just gonna do a big spot. Oh, that's probably gonna, nope, I don't want that. We need 0. Need it to be soft. Nope, don't like that. Why is it so bright? So it might be really hard to see on the stream, but there's a glare spot right here. Right here. That I'm trying to get rid of. Honestly, I think if I just get rid of this top corner. Yeah. And then this part, like this. And then I'm going to stamp some stuff here. Try to mix in some darker spots. And I need to make sure I have all layers sampled. Otherwise, it's not going to copy anything over. Because the layer right now is just a healing layer. Just kind of making that look a little more natural. Cool. And that's what we just did. We removed that spot. there we go. I don't think there's anything else we need to remove. Let's look around. Everything else I think is good. Yeah, okay. I'm going to hit save. We're going to go back in Lightroom, and I think this photo is pretty much done until I reset my eyes and make sure it looks good. As soon as I hit save, it dropped frames, so I think it's definitely Photoshop. So that's good to know. Let's play around in Lightroom for a little bit and see if I drop any frames. All right. Back in Lightroom. Back with our edit. And it's looking pretty good. Remove those people. Now let's check that spot that I just messed with after the edit and make sure it looks okay. Yeah, it looks fine. Let's check this spot back here. Looks great. Can't tell there was a car there ever. Photoshop is great. Okay. Let me close this and reopen it. And let's see if we drop any frames while I'm in Lightroom. When should I use hard? 95% of the time I use a soft brush. But like you just saw, I used a hard brush. Well, 50% hardness when I wanted to be careful near this edge here. But usually the soft brush just makes the blend way easier. So most of the time you're going to use the soft brush unless you really need that extra precision. Okay, let's get rid of the history here. Let's so the only other thing I was thinking about doing with this is getting the church to look a little bit more upright. So I may just leave it like this. You can tell I already kind of turned this one. This was the image we had before. This is the image we have now. It's a little bit too dark still, I think. So I'm going to bring this up even more. But then I'm going to bring the highlights down a little bit. And I'm going to bring the whites that I have here down a little bit. Make sure we're only clipping on that sun, which we are. Make sure we're only clipping down here and this, like a few little spots here. Oh, I just dropped frames, so it's not just... It is not just Photoshop. So, don't know what it is. Okay. So the other thing we can do to fix the vertical orientation of the house is use the transform tool here. I'm going to use the guided, and then I'm going to basically draw from, let's do this corner since I can see it. Now I have no idea what the result's going to be here, but we're going to try it. Might be terrible, might not be worth doing. So there's the first one, and then I'm going to align it with this. Did I get that right? Oh, hopefully I did. Right there. Okay. So what that basically did, and I can hit constrained crop, is it basically made, as you can tell, the house, this line of the church and this line of the church be parallel, like line up. So now they're both straight. Is that what we want? You know, I don't know. So I'm not sure. I kind of like the way it looks a little bit better. Let's do a before and after. I really don't think it makes that big of a difference. I don't know if it's worth it. Because then I gotta go into Photoshop and fix these edges, which is not a huge deal. Maybe it is. I'm also looking at the horizon line. You got to be careful with that too, because it will mess with that stuff. Looking at the clouds and how big they are, and how everything is stretching. So I kind of like the result, but I don't want it as severe as it was. So let's see if we can just fix it by... I'm just going to pull this in just a little bit so it does it a little bit less. Oh, no, wrong direction. Here. That's too much. Well, let's see. I think that looks better, yeah? Yeah, I like the way that looks. And it's crazy because I think that little bit made it wider. Yeah, it did. So this is the original, and this is the fix. It's very subtle, but it makes these angles here go straight up and down, which adds a little bit more realism to the image. Yeah, I think straighter is better. I just didn't like how perfectly... It just made it too small, that first edit. But I think this looks better. And I think... wait, did we... Yeah. I think this is pretty much it. I'm going to bring the shadows down a little bit more. Check full screen. Obviously, you guys aren't going to be able to see everything. Okay. I think that image is done. All right. Let's move on to another image. Hope everyone's having a good day. I'm still dropping a lot of frames. Seems like it's every 2 minutes. Well, that's actually probably just when it's reporting. But all right, so the next, I already know what image I want to work on. It is going to be, I think it's going to be in here. Yeah. It's going to be one of these drone shots, I think. Yeah, it's pretty hidden tool that doesn't get used very often, at least by me. It's great for architecture, but sometimes it just doesn't. I think it messes up the image more than it helps. I think in that particular case, it was subtle enough to help. So I think we're going to either edit this one or this one, or both, to be honest. I want to do this one first. You're going to notice the image is messed up because there is a curvature on the horizon line. We got to fix that. So let's work on that. I believe this is a 2-shot pano, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is hit reset on this. And then, now this is an HDR image, so I have a lot of data here. Something also really weird is happening when I was taking these photos. I think it's a reflection on my polarizer on my drone, but I'm getting like a double sun right there. Really strange. Okay. So we need to do two things. I'm going to use 2 images to blend this together. Actually, you know what? I can probably get away with just fixing the horizon line and then bringing it back into Lightroom and just doing it there. So I think that's what we're going to do. I don't know. I can't decide. Maybe I do want to light paint this. Sometimes I have to look at what it looks like just in edit in Lightroom. It looks pretty good, to be honest. Not entirely in love with the colors of the blue, but that's just kind of how the Mavic is. All right, let's just get it fixed, and then I'll figure it out. So we're just going to open this in Photoshop. Okay. Duplicate my layer, delete the background layer. And let's fix this horizon line. How do I want to do it? Probably a warp tool should do it. Okay. Bring in that ruler. I'm going to try to just straighten this out as best as possible. Pretty light here. don't think it needs very much. Just got to be careful so it doesn't look like a little wave. We're getting pretty close. It was mostly on the edges. I'm basically just trying to get this line to look straight. Can bring this down a little. Bring this up just a little bit. Kind of finessing it back and forth here. Okay, let's check it. So, before and after. After, before, after. It's not perfect. This spot needs a touch of work. But I think it's pretty good. Okay, let's try to fix that one spot right there. Also, again, sorry about the background noise. I tried to get my mic to really only pick me up, so hopefully it's only picking me up. Not much I can do about it. Okay, let's try to move this maybe right here. No. It's tough trying to get this line straight. I could use a different tool. I could use a perspective warp tool. A lot of times the warp tool does it just enough. Really want this up, this down. Okay. We're getting there. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. Before, you can see there's a nice curve. By nice, I mean what we don't want. And I think we're good. I think it needs to be tilted a little bit, like the whole image needs to be shifted just a little bit, but should be pretty good. So I'm just going to save this, go back into Lightroom, and decide if we want to light paint this or not. Now, I could do this multiple ways. So I could light paint this by creating two exposures in Lightroom and then editing them together. I could just light paint it right in Photoshop, which I might do, but I have not decided yet. So I need to rotate this just a little bit and just make sure that horizon line is straight. I think that's pretty good. Yeah? It's weird because there's not like a super discrete horizon. I think that's pretty good though. This is what it was before, which you could easily tell something was messed up. And that's really what we're trying to fix. It doesn't have to look perfect. I'm still not in love with, it's still sloping down right there. So let's see if we can fix that. Too much? Okay, hopefully that did it. No. Let's do it about half of what it was. Yeah. Okay. Now, how do we want to paint this? By the way, this is my van. I had to, it was so windy that I couldn't land it over here. I had to go behind this building right here and land it right here because it literally was so windy it would not land. That's how windy it was. Kind of crazy. All right. Yeah, I think we're just gonna light paint this in Photoshop. So all I'm going to do, no, I like to have, so the thing, this is what I'm trying to decide. If I like painting in Photoshop, I'm going to have basically 2 layers that have the edits baked in if I use the Smart Camera Raw filter. But if I just take it into Lightroom and then create a virtual copy, I have both versions that I can re-edit later if I want to. So I'm actually leaning towards that. So I'm going to hit save and do it that way. It's more of a roundabout way, but it's just the way that I've gotten used to processing images. It's just always having the different exposures in Lightroom saved somehow. So I'm just going to do it that way. It also means that I could have done the blend and all of that stuff and fixed the horizon at the end. So I could have also done it that way. So we're going to darken this quite a bit. Bring the blacks down. Keep bringing the exposure down. Bring the blacks down. This is going to be, if you haven't guessed, our dark exposure. Oh, I can't do... Oh, that's a bummer. All right. We are going to nil everything I just did and do it the other way. So let's close this out. I'm actually just going to delete the image we just did. I'm going to fix the horizon line at the end. But I wanted to see if I wanted to do that or not. So sometimes you just end up doing things and decide to do it a different way. That's okay. How's it going? So we're going to create a virtual copy of this. I don't know why I lost the color stuff when I guess because I went from a DNG to a TIFF. Select Adobe Landscape. That's what I really wanted to do. Auto, it's going to make it a little bit warmer. That's okay. I can't boost this as much as normal. This is going to be our dark exposure, so let's bring down the exposure quite a bit. Bring down the blacks. Now, I'm going to basically put the blacks where I want them to be on the final image as best as possible. Yeah, that looks fine. I'm going to make the darker image a tiny bit cooler because those shadows are supposed to be blue. A little bit. And I think that's pretty good. Let's bring down the sharpening. Oh, I did not re-add sharpening back into the other image, so I got to remember to redo that. I don't think this is going to do anything. Okay. I think that's pretty good. So let's just copy over these settings and paste them in. I hate when I click that button on accident. And then bring this back up. I'm still going to bring down the exposure a little bit here. Not that much. Check where everything... Do I even have data right there? I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't. So this is going to be our brighter layer, as you guessed. So I do want it to be pretty bright, but I don't want it to be super bright. Looks pretty good. This one we're going to make a little warmer so that when I'm mixing it in, basically what's going to happen is the cooler image, this one, when I start blending in these bright spots here, when they're slightly warmer, it's going to add touches of warmth to those spots automatically by warming up this particular image. And this one I can get away with boosting the blue saturation more. It's just not going to affect it as much. Let's see. I think this is pretty good. Yeah. Now I'm going to select both of them, edit and open as layers in Photoshop. Okay, and once again, we're going to use our dark layer as our base. And let's see if I can get enough light out of this. Yes, I can. I'm going to do the same thing we basically did last time. Come in here and paint these brighter areas with a about 30% opacity. Just going to and that mask is going to do most of the work for me. Zoom in here. And we're just going to brighten up those spots that already have light on them. This is also an image I can get away with not light painting, but that little added bit is, I don't know, it just kind of makes your image just a little bit better sometimes. And sometimes that's worth it. Okay. Just going to keep doing this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, sorry if there's buffering / drop frames. I will have to figure that out before the next stream. Just going through, brightening these little clouds here. These spots that are already getting touched by that light. Making them shine a little bit more. I don't need to hit anything over here because it's already plenty bright, as you can tell. Could hit a few spots right here. Right here in the background. Oops. It's like a tiny little sunspot right there, but it's not big enough to hit. Looking pretty good. So before and after, you can see brighten up those spots pretty good. Now, do I want to brighten up any of the clouds? I think I do a little bit, but I have to avoid the sun. So I'm going to do that. But I think I need a different mask. So I'm going to deselect that mask. I'm using a lot of shortcuts, so you can feel free to ask what those shortcuts are if you need to know. Now, you know what? I'm actually not going to use a mask for this part. I'm just going to use a big brush with a low opacity, just like last time. Just to kind of brighten up a little bit of these clouds so they're not looking so dark. Especially over here on the outside. Because again, I'm going to add some more contrast back into the image once we take it back into Lightroom. We don't need them looking too dark. I just noticed that there's these light rays coming through here. That's kind of cool. See if we can accentuate those a little bit naturally. I'm hitting those. That's cool. Nice. Turn that mask on and off. Yeah, it's really hitting right back there. Okay. I think that's... I could probably do a little bit more here and there. Maybe this spot. Again, just some light brush strokes. Brighten up these outer clouds. I'm going to brighten up this little section right here too, because it's going to get too dark. I like it in shadow, but yeah. I think that's pretty good. Okay. I think that's, I mean, super simple blend. I don't know how much more it needs, really. Does anything else need to be brighter, is the question. Could get creative. Brighten some spots along the ridge here. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to 10% opacity and just brighten just a little bit around here. Right here where some of the light already is. Okay. Okay. Now let's fix the fix that horizon line. Man, my brain does not want to work. So I'm going to stamp from these two images, which is a really big shortcut. It's like 4 different buttons. But I just took these two images and made this image. So it's the exact same thing. So that when I manipulate this to warp it like we did before, it's only going to affect that image. So let's see if we can get this correct again. Might be able to do it a little easier this time. Let's get that ruler. It's pretty close. Yeah. There we go. I think that's pretty... Oop. Did not mean to do that. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Sweet. 4? After? Sucks how much it kind of squishes the volcano, but it is what it is. I don't think it's a huge deal. Let's hit save and take it back in the Lightroom. Oh, thanks for coming as a supporter. Wow. Welcome. Thank you. I would say your name, but I honestly don't think I could pronounce it. Thank you. Okay. Back in Lightroom. And add some contrast. So I'm going to do a reverse mask here. That's not the mask I wanted. By reverse mask, I mean just a reverse GND. So I'm going to bring up the whites of just the bottom half of the image. Too much. There we go. Let's bring that down. Okay. Let's straighten that horizon a little bit more. There we go. Let's see. Let's bring up the dehaze. And I think the image should be a little warmer, to be honest. It feels a little too cool, so do that. I'm going to add a mask for the sky. Darken it just a bit. Oh, we need to fix this. Let's go fix that. I can do it in the same one that I did the warp layer. Here's hoping the healing brush tool. We're going to have to do this in pieces. Let's get this first. Nope. Nope. Let's try it this way. It's better. Let's try one more. Pretty sure this is a reflection or lens flare glare on my polarizer. It doesn't have to look perfect because it's already pretty messed up there. Like that looks much better than it did before. I think that's good enough. I'm not going to be able to fix all of these little details. It's just kind of part of the image. Like I want to leave this little green tint in as well. I just wanted to remove that almost like ghost glow there. So hit save. Hope everyone's having a good day. I'm probably going to end the stream after we finish this image. This was going to be a test stream. Obviously, there's some things I need to work out, which is these drop frames. So need to figure that out. And then either 2 days from now, so probably Friday, I might do a stream. And then next week, I'll definitely do a stream and then maybe a third stream at some point as well. Just got to figure out what's going on with the drop frames. Okay. What was I doing? Lightroom. Okay. The other thing I'm noticing is the balance of the sun isn't great. I would love for it to be more to the right, but it is what it is for now. Okay. I'm going to dehaze a little bit more. I'm definitely going to have to bring up the shadows just a tad. It's looking a little too dark. Now, I'm not sure crop-wise, because the thing is, if I crop like this, I might as well use this other image. This one? Yeah. Which I also want to edit this image. And we're going to. Because I have to fix the horizon line here, as you can tell, as well. But that's probably for another stream. So I don't really want to crop this down, because otherwise it just makes that image. Let's see. Really not enjoying the colors here. It's tough to get DJI colors correct. I think bringing that up's good, but I'm going to bring the saturation down overall. And let's bring up the whites of the whole. I think we're pretty close to done. Need to bring some sharpness back to the image, though. For sure. Going to hold Alt while I add this mask so it's not hitting every piece of the... Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for this. Not entirely. I hate the fact that I got this side, but this particular slope here is just so big that I didn't get it in the frame, even though the circular part is like in the frame. Huh. Interesting, Stu, because I'm getting notifications that I'm dropping 30% of frames over the last 2 minutes every 2 minutes, so I don't know what's I don't know what's going on. Hey, thank you. How do I say your name? Or can I call you something else? Thanks for joining, man. It's so funny because I thought I wanted this warmer, and then just the 10 seconds I took to read the chat and I looked back, I think it's too warm now. So I'm going to cool it back off. But it's kind of why I always take a time to make sure I like my images before posting them. I think this is looking pretty good. I think this is good enough for now until I come back to it with fresh eyes. I'm also starting to wonder if maybe my drone wasn't in focus. 'Cause some of this looks a little more blurry than it should be. But I am at 200%, so maybe that's why. I'm going to head to Vegas because my family, the family that I had left is there. So for Christmas, I'll be there. And then some friends are flying out to meet me there after Christmas. But I'll probably head there and take pictures and do, you know, the stuff that's between Colorado and Nevada is gorgeous. So hitting some of that stuff up on the way is probably where I'm going to go. And after that, I don't really know. Kind of up in the air. All right. I think we are done. Let's take a look at what this looked like before we did literally anything. Where is the reset? Here we go. This is what I had before. I'm not entirely sure. Not entirely sure what we did is better than what I had before. Maybe... I think I just need to... No, it's definitely better. Okay. That makes me feel a little better. But I think it still needs a little bit of work for sure. I think it can be brightened up a little bit. That's weird. Why isn't it peaking here? I absolutely know there's peak whites there. That's weird. Okay, I think we're done with that image for now. So the other image we have is this one. It's pretty much the same thing, just Well, there's two differences. One, this is a 4-shot pano, so there's way more detail here because it uses, let's see, it uses these images, left, right, down, and then down. But I'm probably just going to edit it in almost the exact same way. My timeline is collapsing. Never to contrast fine objects. I have never heard that in my life. I mean, if you're adding so much contrast that things like grass and stuff is looking bad, then that's probably just too much contrast. But I don't necessarily know why someone would say that rule. I probably need some context, to be honest. So, anyways, I think I'm going to end the stream there, guys. This was just supposed to be a quick stream where I tested some things out, and now I can go back and watch it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions for the next stream or any suggestions or anything like that, please feel free to speak up. Let's see how it turned out. Try to figure out why I'm dropping frames. I'll have to see if it's an internet thing or if it's a computer thing. Because like I said, I am streaming on a new MacBook. A lot of this stuff is running simulated rather than native, so not entirely sure. Good seeing you too, Greg. I'm glad to be back. It'll still be intermittent. Obviously, the chat is messed up on this thing. Let's fix that. I had to redo all of these windows, so there we go. That should have fixed it. I had to redo everything on this because I stupidly did not save anything when I left my desktop in storage, thinking I would probably never be able to stream until I got back out. So, but yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for joining as a member. Again, I would say your name if I could. Yeah. But I have a lot of photos to edit, so definitely be doing some streams while I'm here. They could be later at night. Not entirely sure yet. Trying to figure out a solution. So, thanks for tuning in, Justin. Thanks for tuning in, Stuart. I know it's late for you. Appreciate it, man. As always. Also, if you guys are interested, there's a calendar link down below for the holiday season 2022. It's pretty sweet. Everyone that's ordered one has been happy with everything, so it makes me feel good. If you want to check it out, it's down below. If you want to join the Discord community, also down below. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you again probably in 2 days. I think I'm going to schedule the stream for Friday, but not entirely sure yet, so don't quote me on it. Could be a little later if I can't figure out this issue. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again soon.